Hi. So my last video ran a little short, or ran a little long, so I'm going to start over with the commercial banks on this video. So when we're talking about commercial banks, again, this is kind of like your typical banks that you've probably heard of, U.S. Bank, Wells Fargo. Those would all be commercial banks. So they do what every bank does. They take deposits. They are set up to lend money. They'll provide other banking services. Um, they're usually funded by either federal or state government, and then they're governed according to certain rules that are put forth by the government. So then we have, aside from banks, we have what are called credit unions. And credit unions offer traditional bank services too, like the savings, checking, money market, CDs. The only big difference is that these are a nonprofit organization, so they do not pay federal taxes. So because of this, credit unions are typically able to offer better interest rates than commercial banks. So when we say better interest rates, that usually means higher interest rates on savings accounts and CDs and lower interest rates on mortgages and loans. In order to belong to a credit union, you have to belong to a certain organization. So this could be anything from like through the school or a church or some other group within the community. You would just have to like apply to that credit union then and see if your group qualifies you. Okay, to continue with banking, ATMs is something we mentioned earlier that it's a way for you to access your money, either your checking account or your savings account. You'll get either a debit card or ATM card, and you can go up to an ATM or an automated teller machine. You've probably seen them around town. And basically what this is a vending machine for money. So you stick your card in, you punch in your PIN number, your personal identification number, and then it pulls money directly from your account. So you always want to make sure that you're using the ATM that's associated with your bank. Otherwise, there could be huge fees. And there's been lots on the news recently about how banks are they're skyrocketing these fees for people that use ATMs that are outside of their banking system. So for instance, if I were to belong to US Bank and I go use an ATM at Wells Fargo, I could get like a $5 fine for using an ATM of another bank. And here's all that information. Okay, so ATMs are convenient, but beware of all the fees. So always check with your bank to see what that ATM fee is going to be if you used a different ATM, and ask about how it can fluctuate. Record all of your transactions. So if it doesn't do it automatically, which most of the time it does nowadays, make sure you're tracking how much you're taking out and how much you're depositing into the ATM. And really control your spending. Again, this can be kind of easier for you to spend money by taking it out of the account. You really need to pay attention to how much you have, what the balance is of your account, so that you're not overdrawing. Again, like I said, they're usually accessible by a debit card or an ATM card. Use your PIN number. It's usually a four-digit identification number. Never share your PIN, which leads me to the next topic of watching out for scams. There's a really good article and a video on page 13 of your text, so make sure you go and check that out. But yeah, if you give your PIN out to somebody and they get a hold of your card, they can easily access your money, and that's never good. There's also been stuff on the news recently where robbers, thieves, criminals have tampered with the scanner system. So when you stick your card in and pull it back out, it scans your information, and they've some criminals out there have manipulated the scanner so that it records and sends them your information, and then they can also tell what keys you're pushing for your PIN number, and then all of a sudden they have all of your information. So just beware of that, and protect yourself when you're going to use the ATM. All right. So then your text also talks about internet banking versus brick and mortar banks. And so nowadays, a lot of brick and mortar banks can do exactly what an internet bank can do as well. but there are a couple different things. So they offer the same account options usually, the savings, checking, CDs, money market, but usually internet bank, you don't get that customer service that's provided. Also with internet banks, you need to be aware of scams. Confirm that the online bank is legitimate and deposits are insured. So you should still be looking for that FDIC insured stamp of approval on the internet bank website that you're using. And make sure that you're still keeping your personal information private and secure. So when I go to log on to my bank online, there's a lot of different security stops along the way before I even get logged into my account. So make sure that your bank is secure. Understand your rights as a consumer. There's usually a link for maybe rights and policies that you should look over just to make sure that you read all the fine print and any fines or fees that are associated with that type of bank. And find out where you would need to go for more assistance from banking regulators. So if there is a situation with your bank, find out the contact information so that you can go and find out who you need to talk to in order to get things cleared up. Okay, so that's first portion over banks of this unit, so go take the quiz. Practice, there's a bunch of vocab listed on page 19, so make sure that you go through that and kind of practice some of the terms, take some notes, write them down, so then you can use those for the quiz. And that's do it. Let me know if you have any questions.